Yes, so the recording is in progress now. So let me start the session. So thanks for coming in. My name is Chinchu. I am a postdoctoral researcher in psychology from India. I belong to the southern part of India. And the session, this presentation is on non-institutional ethical review bodies, the way forward, which is based on the experiences that we have had in India with regard to ethical review of research protocols. So for a bit of background, the system of institutional review boards or ethical committees is in a very nascent stage in India. Most of the psychology departments in universities, we do not have ethical review committees or institutional review boards yet. The only mandatory ethical approval for human research is applicable for medical, biomedical, and health research, which is mostly conducted in India, at least in India, by researchers in public health, epidemiology, psychiatry, etc. And for the postgraduate dissertations and funded studies in the medical area, we need IRB approval, Institutional Review Board approval, which is governed by guidelines by the Indian Council of Medical Research, and their guidelines last came in 2017. And these guidelines are not strictly binding on psychology or any other field outside of biomedical and health research. Now the question comes whether this can be applicable for something like health psychology, but in many universities we still do not have ethical review boards or institutional review boards for providing ethical review to postgraduate research protocols or even PhD level of research protocols. And we have a regulatory body called the University Grants Commission, which oversees the funds and the gradings and all for universities. We call it the UGC. UGC has recently come up with a couple of initiatives in this regard. There have been a book which was published called Research and Publication Ethics, which speaks about ethical concerns which have to be considered in research. There is also another document called Good Academic Research Practices, which was released very recently in 2019 or 20. And some institutions, some non-profit institutions have tried to come up with independent guidelines for social research, with regard to ethical review or ethical approval, because we do not have a centralized system for that. And this is not only the case of India. I believe in many low and middle income countries, this is a situation with regard to ethical review of non-medical research. Now, the challenges that we have in India and also in similar countries is, one is obviously what I spoke about, the availability of IRBs. We do not have institutional review boards in all universities. And if you are trying to submit a manuscript to a high impact journal, even this, the high impact concept itself is debatable. But many journals specifically ask for the approval number and all. And researchers from the low and middle income countries do not have access to institutional review boards. And the awareness level among researchers about this concept of ethical review or institutional review boards is also very low. Many young researchers do not even understand the importance of having ethical guidelines and the importance of adhering to those guidelines. And the existing models that we have, like the ones in the US or the European countries, they are also not perfect. There have been many kinds of many apprehensions about the way this ethical review system works at present. For one, when you submit your proposal or your protocol to an IRB, you are supposed to pay a fee, and this can be a very big hurdle for researchers from the low and middle income countries. The publication fee that is taken by many journals, many open access journals itself is very large sum when you compare that to typical Indian incomes. So for a student, it will be very difficult to pay for an ethical review board. And there are other hurdles or other difficulties that the researchers face when they submit their research protocols for ethical review to IRBs. And even there have been studies, documented studies, which record the difficulties faced by researchers when trying to get ethical approval for their protocols. And the IRBs themselves, even the ones that we have in India, very few, they do not have standards. Like, they are not standardized. You cannot compare the composition or the standards used by one ethical review committee with another one. They are all, very independent of each other, and they are not self-regulated. They are not standardized. And many times, young researchers, those in the PG level and all, complain about the approach of the research, the IRB being, mostly kind of intimidating than being helpful. So there is this issue of this, respectful research approach to researchers. It has also been, I've taken this phrase from a published study, respectful research approach. So these are the challenges that we have when particularly with respect to India and other low and middle income countries. Now, what I'm trying to do is to try and propose a model of non-institutional ethical review mechanism, which can possibly or hopefully address all these challenges that I spoke about earlier. Now, it's not a plan as such. It's just a bunch of ideas which have to be worked upon. And a couple of months ago, we had a small meeting with one of the EC members of the SIPS also to have a discussion on this, the possibility of these kind of non-institutional review systems. So what we propose is a non-institutional ethical support team. We do not use the word review, but rather we use the word support. We can call them, if you like, as NEST. So these are essentially non-institutional. They are not bound to any specific institution, not to any university or a medical college or a department. They are independent of institutions. They provide help in terms of ethical support, trying to, or they help us in improving our research protocols, not to brand or label our research protocols are good or bad. So we'll have experts who are volunteers to be in these ethical support teams. And the focus will be not on mere reviewing, but to help the researcher improve their research protocol according to the best practices in the academia. And the members of this board will be trained so that we can have standards in the way of functioning of these ethical review boards. And most of the operations can be made online. We can go for blinding or anonymization so that a reviewer will not know the identity of a person who has submitted a protocol, if that is needed. We do not prescribe fee, but there can be voluntary contributions by those who submit their protocols for review, but there will be no mandatory fee for the submission. We can try and get affiliation or connection with professional bodies, but that's not a mandatory thing. And we'll have feedback on operation of these committees from the students or from the researchers, and we'll also have a self-regulation mechanism for the support team. So this is how basically this team would work. So the team will have experts from different fields. That is something that is there in all ethical review boards, I believe. We'll have people from public health, we'll have people from law, people from psychology and social science, obviously, people from the research methodology or the statistics background, and people from what we call in India as the people science. People science is nothing but spreading scientific temper, scientific awareness among people. This can include popular science writers or science communicators and so on. So these kind of a multidisciplinary team will be there in this helping team. And we can have, and these are just crude suggestions, we can have a point system where according to the total points which is given to a proposal, we can either approve the protocol as submitted or have suggestions, or we can invite a revision. There won't be a rejection as such. And a rejection of a protocol can be considered only in extreme circumstances. Normally, the worst case scenario would be an invitation for a revision and not a rejection. And there can be provision of appeals, and there can be provision for making non-significant changes in the approved protocol. Normally, this is not allowed. Once the protocol is set and approved by an ethical committee, there can be no changes. But if you go with a qualitative research or a mixed method research, sometimes there needs to be changes in the process even after the research work has started. So there has to be a leverage for that. So this will be the process of the support. And for the quality assurance of this ethical review process, we'll frame guidelines for the members, and we'll train them, as we already said. We'll train the members. We'll have an appellate mechanism when somebody is having grievances about judgments given by or the approval given by the committee. There can be an appellate mechanism. There can be training for the members in the process of mentoring, not to be fault finding members, but rather mentors to the young researchers. So this itself can bring a lot of difference to the approach of this ethical review team, I believe. And we'll go with self-regulation, which comes from feedback and various self-regulation mechanisms. And we'll once a system is in place, maybe after a year or so, we can think of even having social audit, where outside members are allowed to inspect the operation of this ethical review team, and make judgments and discuss those feedbacks, so that this entire system can be even more streamlined. Some infrastructure will be needed. Sometimes even some kind of funding may be needed for that. That have to be discussed. This is not there are no plans for that. As I said, this is not a plan yet. We are just sharing some ideas. So we can have a website and an ERP system, something that works a lot like the modern journals review systems, where everything can be managed online with a dashboard for each kind of user and all. If possible, periodical physical meetings can also be done, because mostly in India, what we have are only physical meetings for ethical review boards. And this itself sometimes consumes a lot of time, where a researcher has to wait for this committee to meet in person and make a decision on her or his protocol before starting the research. This itself can cause a lot of delay in terms of months. But so if possible, physical meetings can be arranged, but they are not a mandatory thing. And those who perform well, those who devote a lot of energy of theirs into this process can be we cannot pay them, this cannot be a paid assignment, but we can provide a social recognition mechanism where those kind of exemplary helping behavior by the experts can be acknowledged in various ways. And as I already said, there is a major issue of awareness, lack of awareness in India and in other low and middle income countries, that has to be considered separately, not as part of this initiative, but that also has to be there. Learning materials in different languages and formats has to be prepared. Training and awareness is to be given to students and researchers on best practices. What are the best practices, such as probably open science and pre-registration. These kind of things have to be introduced, and best research practices of students or researchers have also to be recognized and rewarded, in order to maintain quality of research. So this is what I had to propose in by way of non-institutional ethical review mechanisms. What we need to do is generate more dialogues, write more, and speak more about these things. Speak to those who may not be aware of best practices in research and research ethics, and try and form networks and collaborate with others who may be ready to contribute to this kind of initiative. So I'll just stop my presentation here, and we can have a discussion if someone wants to discuss more. So I have just provided a small link which I have started for collecting people who are willing to contribute to such an initiative. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very, very interesting. I really happy I joined this conference. It's so I don't know if others are hearing or if we have any scheduled. I think I missed the first minute, so I didn't know if there was already an introduction round. But I'm Matti, I'm from Finland, and very much trying to collaborate with a lot of scholars around the world. And this is currently one of our challenges, that our own ethics review board doesn't allow me to collaborate with researchers who don't have ethics review in their own country. So if I want to collect data with my friend in India, I'm not allowed to do that because they want me to show that we have an Indian IRB, but they say they don't have one. So what can we do? We cannot even do multiple choice research because of this challenge. And this looks like an excellent solution to it. And of course, will be a long road to work, but definitely worth doing it. Maybe is it possible to get the link in the chat so I could? Perfect, thank you.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll just.
And now this is this is new knowledge that even collaborations are getting difficult for the lack of IRB approvals.
Yes, yes, it's there's a lot of differences between different ethics committees, as I have learned. I'm just a mid-career researcher, so I'm by no means like a veteran on this topic, but I guess one of the, if I understand correct, one of the main issues is that there's still the challenge that like many journals require the ethics review, and because it's not available, this sort of non-institutional board would solve kind of the pragmatic challenge that we would actually get the people to think about these questions and going through a review. But would that still be sufficient for the journals? Would the journals agree that this non-institutional ethics review is valid? I think this can be a challenge, like to be solved next. What do you think?
At present, we certainly we sometimes we have to have workarounds, for this issue. So, I have personal experience where, I had submitted, a manuscript, and the reviewer specifically asked about the review process. So we said we don't have a federal system in India, and in fact, our protocol was discussed and approved by two different bodies, but they are not IRBs technically. So, the funding agency also had a scrutiny of the protocol, and the implementing agency also had. So, for this matter, we had to write a pretty, a 2-paragraph, justification on why there was no specific, this quote unquote IRB approval, but rather it was approved by a different body. So it's sometimes it now then rests with the editor and the reviewers to decide whether that would be okay or not. But I strongly believe that if we can set a model of an independent body which has standards on its own, I believe editors and reviewers won't have much problem with such a body being non-institutional. Especially since all the literature that we have says that there is no standardization even within countries on the standards the ethical committees set for approving or rejecting or reviewing a protocol. So it's pretty much an unregulated area, and so if you are able to build a model, and if you are able to demonstrate that it works, I think then journals may not have much of a problem with that.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's all about the how do you say that? Like it's not about the prestige, but it is about this kind of standardizing the procedure, and when it becomes standardized, then it also gains earns the trust of journals and other institutions. So definitely worth it. One challenge that while I was listening to the talk, I started thinking that if I would like to help, I could help in reviewing some parts of the study, but then I started thinking one of the main issues in participating in ethics review is that even in Finland, as you just mentioned, there are even kind of domestic differences between different ethics boards, and this is due to different policies for different universities. And if we go to regional differences, so even like Nordic Europe has different laws and things like this. So I would not be qualified to review, for instance, Indian ethics from my point of view. So this sort of I don't know if it would be regional, like it would be regional experts from a certain country that would work, but perhaps there would still be, I'm just speaking aloud what I'm thinking, so it might not make perfect sense. There might still be space for kind of international people to take roles for specific parts which are not tied to the local laws and regulations. So you could do something like as one slide mentioned, like there are methods experts reviewing kind of a statistical power and things like this, which is not necessarily related to that.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. As I said, we have had only one, serious discussion on this matter, and as we think more about and plan more about this thing, new challenges would appear. But the strongest conviction that we have is something has to be done. So that's why we just started this the whole discussion, and we are trying to carry it forward. Yes, this regional differences in national standards, those kind of things are still there, but probably we can have workarounds for them. Various kind of workarounds. Even I'm just thinking about it and speaking about it right now. So sometimes I've seen that WHO and all have, they look at the background of the reviewers, before assigning. They seem to have larger boards, so that they have a large pool of reviewers, from which they can select the reviewers who will go through a specific protocol. So probably we can have profiles of our reviewers, and then decide based on the profiles of the reviewers which protocol is to be assigned to which team. So those kind of working mechanisms have to be evolved. Probably, but then again, some global guidelines can also be taken up, just like how we have the a COP, guidelines and all. Some guidelines can be framed also, which are universal. But yes, some have to be taken at the regional level as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it sounds very good, and important work. The I was wondering who would be allowed to apply. Is it who have the permission to use this non-institutional? Well, maybe it was mentioned in one of the slides, but I might have missed it.
Right. Yeah. Right now, what we have started is, what we are trying to start is, on one side we'll be trying to address postgraduate students in psychology, and that's specifically within considering the challenges that we have in India. So we'll be starting by talking to postgraduate students about the importance of ethical review, and the importance of open science and best practices, and offering the services to postgraduate students at the at the beginning. And once the system matures, we can start offering services to even PhD level research scholars and all. And regarding larger studies, it will take time in order to look at reviewing multi-center studies, or large research studies. It will at least take some time, or some professional organization has to take the initiative. So if some of the professional bodies of psychologists, or something like that, so if some kind of such a body comes forward, we can take even larger protocols can be reviewed even at the very first level. But from the way things have been going, we are thinking of starting with postgraduate research itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can imagine, because I don't know how many studies are being carried out. Like, what is the number of people who need this, but I can imagine the numbers can go very high very fast, and the resources are limited, especially in the beginning. So yeah, that sounds like a smart beginning, and then expand as the kind of system evolves. Yeah, I will be happy to help, and I will fill out the form for sure. Also, so I'm starting this month. I will start a new project, and we have a few experts in our team. So I will also advertise it for them, and perhaps if there's any way we can further help out. So at least there will be some collaboration.
Yeah. So we'll reach out.
Yes, so I was also listening to your talk, and I am really impressed. And I think it is a wonderful idea. I am also a student, first year of psychology, so I am new to psychology. But I really appreciate your idea as a student, and I know that students can gain a lot from your idea. And I was thinking if maybe more countries have this issue, maybe not only India, but also other ones. And maybe there can be a really huge collaboration between countries even, and they can make an institution like that. And it could be um, like a new quality of researchers, of the data and everything. Mm, I don't know much about this topic, unfortunately, but I am really thankful for your talk. Thank you very
No,
much.
no, the way you speak, I would say you don't know much. You have understood what what was presented, and yeah, I get your point. And yes, I believe this is not an isolated issue for India. At least for all low and middle income countries, we have these issues in varying degrees. Yeah, varying degrees could be there, but the issue is not country specific. And uh, you know at least in some countries like Taiwan, we have first-hand information that these kind of challenges are still there. And again, the difficulties people face with ethical review boards. This one of the a couple of studies were there. They come from the developed nations, and the countries where they have the system already in place. So even in places where they have IRB system for years, even there are problems of this standardization and all. And very recently there have been attempts to develop metrics to assess the working of institutional review boards. It was not there when they started. So that's what is that is interesting. So once IRB system has been there for decades now, and only it's only recently that we have started assessing the entire process and trying to come up with standards to assess them. So one opportunity is that we are trying to start this now, so we have all this experience of the other places, what has went wrong, what can go wrong. So probably we can build a better system. And yes, as you said, collaboration between countries, such as from different countries, is very crucial. That could be a great learning experience also.
Yes, I'm really amazed that you did all of the research and you know what went wrong in other countries and what mistakes not, how to avoid them. And what else I can say? Thank you very much and fingers crossed for the project.
Yeah. And all the best for your studies.
Yeah.
If you are a student.
Thank you very much.
One thing that popped into my mind based on what Agatha said and on the presentation in general, if there is indeed a situation where we don't know how big this issue is, maybe it would be worth doing a sort of a scoping review of this state of art. So if people are interested, and it would benefit the initiative as well, if we would do a very brief kind of a scoping review of each country, like systematically check every country in the world one by one, like what is their kind of ethics review state. And based on this, it would already help a lot to see like where should these efforts be directed, like, and expanded. So in this case, like, the initiative could become sort of a global source for people who do research in parts of the world where ethics review is not possible.
Yeah, now that's something that SIPS can take up. SIPS is, I believe SIPS is, the apt team which can initiate this kind of, this kind of, and this is I believe that's very important also. And yeah, thanks for bringing that to the notice. So so we'll be trying to get in touch with the EC of SIPS, and as the next step, as I said, we already had one round of discussion, and this presentation comes out of from that discussion. So it has to move forward. Probably for the next step, this can also be proposed, of conducting a scoping review of the existing IRB mechanism in different places. So we have in the audience, I see one more person. If there is something to be discussed. Otherwise, it's almost midnight here. Uh, we have a huge time difference between Canada and India. So yeah, it's almost 11:40 in the night now. So so if there are no more additions to the discussion, we can stop this particular session right now. As we said, the discussion should go on. We'll try and we'll see how it can be taken forward, possibly with the help of SIPS as well. So I'll stop the recording now.
I have one brief comment still, if people have the time. I don't know if everyone is aware of the registered reports format, perhaps. There is this new center for peer community is also something that people might be aware of or not. This is kind of the new center for peer reviewing studies. So the idea is that the publishers have no more power for the publication process, but the studies are reviewed by this platform. And this one specifically is reviewing only registered reports studies, but the other PCI sections are also reviewing existing studies that have been fully carried out. So what I was thinking is that because we already have this center platform for reviewing the studies, why not connect this initiative to the PCI, where you would also review the ethics of the study. So this might be a very, they might be very welcoming for this kind of work that you are doing. And they would be really happy, because one of the main problems I'm involved, just to full disclosure, I'm an editor for this registered report section. So they have multiple editors. So I'm just one of the few. And Chris Chambers is the kind of the head of this. So I think one of the main problems has been that it's not clear if the studies have an ethics review, and if they don't have, how should those studies be dealt with? Because they are not, this is not a journal, but only a review center. So they kind of don't have the same responsibilities as journals do. But if they would have the option to utilize something like this, I think that would solve their issue and your issue. It would be a perfect combination. So yeah, just a thought in the end. That,
yes, I'm just going through the website now, and thanks for that. Yeah, that also sounds like a very good suggestion. We'll have to definitely look into that also. Yes, this report I have briefly come across research reports, but I've not delved deep into. And I think I'm seeing the PCI website for the first time. So that's a very suggestion that is worth considering. We can definitely look into that as well. And yeah, so so this has been a very enriching discussion, even if we were only a handful of people. So so I'm recording this session, and we'll provide the session to SIPS if they want to host the video on their platforms. And so thank you everyone for the participation and the discussion. We hope for better science, better open science. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.